Up, creative crafters. In this DIY, I was inspired by your comments and some designs that I found online. So after surfing and seeing a couple of different looks and designs, I came up with one of my own that I thought would be easy and inexpensive. So without further ado, this is how I made this elegant wall art. For this project, I'll be using one of the metal kitchen racks from Dollar Tree. And this time I'm going to be bending the frame so that it kind of makes an arch and creates the shape that I want. Now, you should know if you just kind of like plow into this, it's pretty much not going to be uniform. So take your time and do this part slowly, and just start out by like grabbing the legs and bringing them in a little at a time. And once you see it start taking shape, then you can apply more and more pressure, bringing the ends closer together. So once I had the shape that I was going for, I just take it outside and I spray paint it gold. Next, I use some ribbon from Dollar Tree. And if this isn't around the fall or Halloween season, when you're watching this video, check out Walmart for this ribbon or something similar. So now I just start with the fabric and I just pull all of the fabric off of the roll. I trim the sides so that all that I have is the sheer fabric. And I start with the fabric end that has a hook-like shape, and I add some glue inside of that crease. Now this is sheer, so be sure you have something nearby so you can press the ribbon to your frame if you're using hot glue. That way you won't burn yourself. So I started on one side of the frame and I basically just wrapped and twisted my way around, and I added a tad bit of glue here and there every so often. And I tried to do this, where the gold would peep through just a little bit. And I ended up using 3 rolls of ribbon for this shade. Next, I have an old clip here, but I'll be using the punch bowl spoons or the ladles from the wedding section of Dollar Tree. And I just cut the bowl off so that all that I have is the handle. And I have several of these that I had pre-prepped a while back for a project that I ended up not doing. So I'm going to use them for this project. And then I just take my handles and I cut the straight part off of one of them. And then I use that as a template to go by for my other handles. Now with hot glue, I just glue 2 of these together, creating an oval shape. And I remember a couple of people saying about a year ago or so, they had a hard time getting these handles to stick together when I made the teardrop decor. But the trick to this is just add your hot glue and just let it sit. Just leave it alone and don't touch it for about 10 or 15 minutes and they will bond together. So these don't grab as instant as we're used to working with hot glue. I really don't know why, but I do know if you add the glue and just let it sit, it works perfect. Once those oval pieces are bonded together, then I go outside and I paint those gold, and then I glue those together. And it's a good idea to either prop these up on something such as lids, bowls, craft sticks, whatever, maybe even some wax paper, so you can let the glue kind of drain and get really good beside the joints, and so it creates a good bond. And you want to let these sit for about 10 or 15 minutes, flip and do the other side. And I just glue 2 of these at a time, and then I glue those together, creating one entire piece. In the meantime, I had figured out that these pieces are not going to fit up under the frame because the legs on the frame are in the way. This metal is so super thick. It's not like cutting floor wire. So we have a couple of options. We can bend them in, or we can bend these up. And the next option would be to cut these. Now, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. To cut these with pliers, you would have to be related to the Terminator or something, because this wire is that thick. So what I did was just grab my cutters and grind a groove. I kind of went back and forth and just made a little groove there, and then just bent that and it popped off. Now I've got to figure out how I'm going to get my lights in here, and I'm going to be using the LED push lights from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use 2 of them. And of course, I realized that some pretty bright remote LED lights would be really, really nice. And I did find some on Amazon that are some plug-in puck lights, and I'll link those below. But for now, I have some Dollar Tree push lights. So what I decided to do is make a platform for my lights, and I do that with an old plastic lid from one of my craft jars, and I just cut that lid into a third with a pair of scissors. And I'll be using the big part of the lid for my light, and the small part I'm gluing that on the back so I have a place to hang this. So I just take the lid and the light and I figure out the best place for it, and then I glue my lid in. And I do the same thing for the top one, but you want to make sure when you do your top one that both lights are within the perimeter of the frame. Once all of my lids and platforms are in place, I go outside and I spray paint those gold as well so everything is matching. And then to get my lights to stay, I just cut some little Velcro pieces and I stick those for the puck lights into the lids. Now the bottom light, it kind of wants to lean a little bit here. I guess I didn't get my Velcro back far enough, but that's okay because I shook it like crazy and clearly it's not going anywhere. So I just do the same thing for the top light, and then I flip it over and glue and screw my bracket in the back. Now the bracket that I'm using, this came from one of the picture frames from Dollar Tree. I have like 1.5 million of these, but if you don't have one of these, you could use something simple like a tab from a soda can. Just bend it and glue that on the back. Now I just use some adhesive diamond wrap from Dollar Tree, and I just go over the areas where the oval pieces meet on the sides, and I just use a little patch of diamond wrap right there. And then I use one little silver flower bling in the center. I have a ton of gems and mirrors, but I just kind of felt like this was simple and elegant, so I didn't really go all out with the bling here. And now to connect this shade to the centerpiece, I am certain you could come up with something better than I did. Maybe like hanging these up separately or zip tying them together. Just let me show you what I did. So I grabbed a wreath wire and I cut the smallest ring off, and then I threaded that in between the end spokes of my frame, and I bent the wires so that they would grab and kind of wrap around the frame and the sides. And then I add some zip ties to secure the wire in place, and that was it. Then I hung it on the wall, and this is the result. I'm so loving the look with or without the light on. The X, I think, is pretty cool. I know you can't tell this in these pictures, but the light makes like a half circle on the floor, just like it does on the ceiling, which I think is all kind of neat. So that is it. I'll see you soon with another project. Until then, happy crafting, my friend.